Welcome back to Surrey Supernatural. If you enjoy this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and allows me to bring you more creepy stories. Today we're delving back into Hollywood as we explore The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. How much did this film change from the chilling true story it's based on? Let's find out. The Devil Made Me Do It, the true story behind the film. In early July 1980, 11-year-old David Glatzel was helping his older sister Debbie and her boyfriend Arne Cheyenne Johnson clean up a rental property in Connecticut that they were preparing to move into. While inside, David claimed he encountered an old man who shoved him onto a waterbed and warned that harm would come to them if they moved in. In The Conjuring 3, this moment is dramatised with a terrifying visual, a hand bursting through the waterbed. However, that's pretty fictional and not how the offence actually unfolded. When he returned to his parents' home, David claimed the old man would appear before him and speak to him. He described his figure as an old man with a white beard, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt, but with charred black skin, as if it had been burned in a fire. David suffered from night terrors and would wake up screaming, describing a man with sunken black eyes and animal-like features, horns, hooves, pointed ears and jagged teeth. He also began to develop unexplainable bruises and scratches. The demon in the movie looks nothing like what David claimed he saw. The family began hearing strange unexplained noises coming from the attic and decided to call in Ed and Lorraine Warren. Upon visiting the home, Ed Warren claimed to hear banging and growling from the basement. He also saw a rocking chair move on its own. In an interview with Tony Spera, Ed recounted a chilling moment when David's toy dinosaur started to move on its own and a deep voice came from it saying, "You're all going to die." Lorraine Warren said that while he was interviewing David, she observed a dark mist surrounding the boy, which she believed represented the demon possessing him. According to Lorraine, it was the Warrens who identified the entity as a demon, while David's mother initially believed it to be a ghost. She also claimed to see David being choked by invisible hands, and he would feel like he was being hit. Red marks appearing on his body out of nowhere. Lorraine said she heard David hiss, growl, speak in unrecognisable languages, and even recite verses from the Bible. Debbie Glatzel reported that David would bite, spit, kick, scream profanities, and that it felt like unseen forces were throwing him around like a rag doll. During one of David's night terrors, Debbie said she saw a face appear on the wall, a demon with high cheekbones, a narrow chin, thin nose, and large black sunken eyes grinning at her before vanishing. Again, this appearance is completely different from the demon portrayed in the movie. Ed Warren later claimed that David was possessed by not one but 43 demons, and that David had spoken of all their names. He also claimed David showed incredible strength and even levitated through one of the exorcisms. During one of his sessions, Arne Johnson allegedly challenged a demon, telling it to leave David and take him instead. According to those present, this actually happened. A few days later, David's condition began to improve, but Arne started showing strange behaviour. Incidents such as falling from a tree and crashing his car, yet walking on unscathed, were later blamed for possession. Debbie said Arne began to growl and hallucinate. Arne himself claimed his first lucid encounter with the demons occurred at the rental home while looking into a well. He said it was when he locked eyes with the entity that he became possessed. On February 16, 1981, Arne phoned in sick to his job as a tree surgeon and met Debbie at the dog kennels where she worked. Also present were Debbie's 9-year-old cousin Mary and Arne's sister Wanda 15 and Janice 13. The three girls had come to visit and to see the dogs. Debbie's boss Alan Bono suggested they go out for lunch and took him to a local pizza parlour. Arne and Alan began drinking heavily, and by the time they returned to the kennels, tensions were running high. Alan grabbed young Mary and refused to let her go. Arne demanded he release her, which he eventually did, But the argument between Arne and Alan continued outside. Debbie tried to step in between them and Wanda tried pulling Arne away. Then suddenly Arne began growling like an animal. He pulled out a 5-inch pocket knife and stabbed Alan Bono multiple times. Alan suffered 4 or 5 deep wounds to the chest and died in the hospital hours later. Arne was found 2 miles away and taken into custody. He claimed to have no memory of what had happened. It was reportedly the first murder in Brookfield, Connecticut's history. The next day, Lorraine Warren told police that Arne had been possessed when he killed Alan and therefore wasn't responsible. Debbie claimed the argument had been about payment for repairing a stereo, but others, including the police, suggested a deeper motive: jealousy. Alan reportedly lived above the kennels and had grown close to Debbie. Some believe Arne and Alan were arguing over her, not a stereo. In the movie, this romantic tension is left out, but it does show Alan grabbing Debbie. 8 months later, Arne's lawyer, Martin Minnelli, attempted to plead not guilty by reason of demonic possession. He argued that Arne was under the devil's influence when he stabbed Alan Bono. It was the first known case in US history where demonic possession was used as a defense. The media dubbed it the "Devil Made Me Do It" case, and the Warrens were thrust back into the spotlight. Minnelli told the New York Times, "The courts have dealt with the existence of God, now they'll have to deal with the existence of the devil." In the film, Minnelli is portrayed by a female character named Meryl. However, the judge rejected the idea of possession as a legal defense, stating there was no credible evidence for such a claim. Minnelli was forced to change the plea to not guilty by reasons of self-defense. After 15 hours of deliberation over 3 days, the jury found Arne guilty of first-degree manslaughter. On November 24, 1981, he was sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison. Arne was reportedly a model prisoner, earning his high school diploma and took several courses while incarcerated. He served just 5 years before being released for good behaviour. He and Debbie later married and had 2 children. Years later, David's brother Carl Glatzel denounced the entire story. When Gerald Brittle's book, The Devil in Connecticut, co-written with Lorraine Warren, was republished in 2006, Carl called it a complete lie. He said the Warrens manipulated their family to get famous and claimed they once told them demonic possession would make them millionaires. In reality, Cole and the family was only paid $2,000. Cole claimed David had never been possessed, and been suffering from mental illness, which he eventually recovered. In 2007, Cole filed a lawsuit against Brittle and the Warrens for financial damage. Gerald Brittle defended the book, saying it was based on over 100 hours of interviews with the Glatzels, many of which were filmed. Lorraine Warren also stood by the claim, saying all 6 priests involved in the exorcisms believed David had been possessed. In the end, the only members of the Glatzel family who continued to support the Warrens' version of events were Debbie and Arne. Even David's father denied the possession ever happened, although his mother had backed the Warrens at the time. And until next time, stay spooky.